everyone, Lynn here. I am doing some of my older designs from the Kaleidoscope Mandala Club. Since we are celebrating the birthday this month, this is our vintage butterfly advanced artistry design. This time I'm redoing it on a wood jewelry box piece, so it should be really pretty. I'm changing the colors, so I have got just a gradient of kind of pink magenta from light to dark. I've got 6 colors going from pink to kind of a purpley color here, and I've just numbered them 1 through 6. You can redo this really with any color gradient, so feel free to mix up your own colors. And I've got my tool set here. I'll tell you step by step which tool I'm using. To begin here, I've got my cardinal points marked off: north, south, east, and west. I've got my halfway, so northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, and then each one in between. I used a 16-arm stencil. You really could get away with just 8 lines and work from there. But I'm going to go ahead and start with my 10mm tool, and I'm going to use my darkest color, my number 6 color. And this is what we're going to use for our center dot. Now, if you're following me here on YouTube, remember you can always speed me up, slow me down, just depending on how you work. I think this color palette is going to look really pretty up against the wood. All right, so 10mm center. Next, I'm going to use a 2.5mm tool. If you have a 2.5mm stylus, that would be fine as well. I'm going to use my number 5 color, and we're going to add 8 dots. So I'm going to do my north, south, east, and west first. This helps me keep things spaced nice and even. Again, this was 2.5mm, number 5 on my gradient. And I'm going to make 8 dots. Next, I'm going to grab my 6mm tool. We're going to go down another color, so number 4. Next to each one of these dots, I'm going to add a 6mm dot. We're working in the same ray, so these are not offset. I'm going to wipe off my 6mm tool. So that was number 4. I'm going to go down one more color, number 3, same tool, 6mm, and I'm going to add another dot in the same ray. So a lighter dot right next to the previous dot. So 2 dots of the same size. Reserve number 1 is kind of my accent color, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my 1mm tool. You could go up to 1.5 if you've got the room. Judge by your own spacing. Let's see, I think I am going to try 1.5 here. I'm going to use my number 1, my accent color. So in this first row that goes around the center, I'm going to add a 1.5mm dot in between those number 5 dots. Number 5 color dots. So we're working in that ring just around the center. I'm using 1.5mm tool and my lightest color. We're adding 1 dot in between each of the 8 dots that we have there. I'm going to continue using this number 1 color, the lightest color. I am going to switch to a stylus for this. I think the stylus might just work a little better than my tools. So I'm going to get, let me think, what size? I think I'm going to go 1.5 millimeters. I'm going to stick with the 1.5. We're going to do a set of 3 dots. So I'm going to dip, I'm going to put my center dot in between these 2 dots here. And then we're going to create a triangle. We're going to do a set of 3. So add 2 more equally sized dots. Remember to dip and dot each time. The center dot is centered between these 2. And then the wider part of the triangle faces outward. So it's a set of triple dots. Next, I'm going to grab my 8mm tool and I'm going to use my number 3 color, and these dots are going to be offset. So I'm going to put them in between that previous row. My number 3 color, 8mm. So these 2 rows are the same color. We're going to go down 1 more color to number 2. And I'm going to go up to a size 10. So 10mm tool, our number 2 color. Again, we're going to offset these. All right, we're going to fill a lot of this in with just a really simple petal design. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my 1.5mm tool. We're going to be working on this smaller circle here. And I'm going to go to my number 4 color because this row and this row are 3. So I'm going to go down 1 color to number 4. And then up on top of these circles, I'm going to do a crown of 3. So 3 dots at 1.5mm. once I have that 3-dot crown on each one, I'm going to switch to my 1mm tool, still working with number 4, and I'm going to walk the dots on each side. I can fit 5 comfortably, so that's what I'm going to do on both sides. Right, so I added those petals in there. That was my number 4 color. Oh, there's a little ant on my desk. Go away. Alright, so next we're going to go up a size. So I'm going to use my 2.5mm tool. We're going to do the same thing for this next row. So I'm going to add a crown on top with my 2.5mm. So crown of 3. I'm still using my number 4 color. Remember, when you're doing your crown, dip and dot each time so that they are the same size dots. Oops. Switched colors on myself. I should be using my number 4. Alright, so I have a 3-dot crown going all the way around, 2.5mm with my number 4 color. I'm going to go down one size from 2.5mm to 1.5mm using the same color, number 4, and I'm going to walk the dots on each side. Again, for myself, I fit 5 dots pretty comfortably, so I'm just adding 5. Fix them a little bit over here. Alright. On this next set of petals, out here, we're going to add 3, a gradient of 3. Now this is my lighter color, 2, and I know I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get darker, okay? So I'm going to do a petal with 3, a petal with 4, and a petal with 5. My petal with 3, I'm going to start with my 2.5mm tool, and I'm just going to add a dot right in the center. This will be the edge of my petal, or the top of my petal. So 2.5mm center, then I'm going to walk the dots on each side. I've got 7, so I'm going to do 7 all the way around. I'm going to go up to a 3mm tool. I'm going to use my number 4 color. I'm going to add a 3mm center dot. Oh my goodness, I don't know if you can hear that thunder. Probably not. It is storming here like crazy. All right, 3mm center, number 4 color. I'm going to switch to my 2.5mm and walk the dots on each side. I can fit 8. All right, for the last set of petals on here, I'm going to use my 4mm tool. I'm going to use this clear one because it's my favorite, and I'm going to use the number 5 paint. We're going to add the center dot with 4mm. That puts me right at the end of my shape here, the end of my box. Oops. Gotta be real careful when you're working on wood because you can't just paint over it like you would if you have a background color. So I made a boo-boo. I need to fix it right away. Sometimes working on wood can be really beautiful, but you gotta make sure you don't get splatters, and I splatter a lot. I'm a little careless. All right, so 4mm centers. And I'm going to use my 3mm tool to walk the dots on each side. I'm real bad at smudging today. It is the second time I've done that. Always have to be careful when you get towards the edges. Alright, I mentioned I'm going to use white as my accent color, so I'm going to do some of that now. What you're going to see here, I'm going to get my 3mm tool, or not white, but I'm sorry, my lightest color. I'm going to dip my 3mm tool, and in between each of these petals, I'm going to add a swipe outward. Of course, my first swipe did not go too well. Let me fix that. The shape kind of has a weird curve to it. Alright, so 3mm, swipe nice and slow outward. Alright, I'm going to come in towards the center, and we've got these dots in this ring where we've got these triple dots here, and I'm going to add a 3mm top dot in that same ring. We're going to skip a ring, and then in this ring here, I am going to get my 4mm tool, and we're going to add a dark top dot. So I'm going to go with my number 6 color. The really nice thing about working with gradients is that all of these colors play well together. And that's true, regardless of the gradient that you choose, light to dark. All of the colors have the same base, and so they look really good. So don't be afraid to change this up if you don't want to do the same scheme that I am doing. On this last set of petals here, I'm going to go up to a 5mm tool, and we're going to go to our lightest color, number 1, and I'm going to top dot. Be careful about putting your fingers in your paint. I'm doing that a lot today. Usually I'm better at it. I'm going to add a 5mm top dot in the center, number 1. So we have our darkest color and our lightest color in the center there. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a number 6 color top dot right in the center. So it should go 6, 1, 6. Now I'm going to cheat because top dot should be dry before you add another layer of top dot. So I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to dry this real quick with my dryer so I can add that dot. Alright, so I've got it dry enough that I've got a little film on there. Ideally, we would let the layer completely dry. So I'm going to get my 3mm tool, my number 6 color, and I'm just going to add that last dot right there in the center. And that's the end of my design. You could, if you wanted to add a little bit more pizzazz, continue to add top dots by adding some white, and I think I'll just show you as an option. This wasn't part of my original design, but wherever I added a top dot of my number 1 color, I'm going to go back in and add white. So I've got my 1.5mm tool here, and again, make sure your bottom layers are dry, and I'm going to add a teeny tiny dot in this ring here. Whenever you're working with a light to dark gradient, remember white and black can also be your brightest and your darkest colors, so don't be afraid to zhuzh it up a little bit. And here on this outer ring, I'm going to add a 3mm top dot. Now this design here is a very simple petal design. Nothing too complicated, but I'll be honest, this is what made me fall in love with dotting. I love petals. They're very simple, but very pretty. And I love to revisit old designs, and so I was super excited to decide to do this month. This was one of the first designs that we came up with in the Kaleidoscope Mandala Club. It was our vintage butterfly advanced artistry, and we're celebrating the 1-year birthday. So we dot together every month, 3 times a month. If you'd like to join us, you can get more information at kaleidoscopemandalaclub.com. I would love to dot with you. We have grown so much, and the way that we do things has grown and changed so much as well. We make lots of beautiful mandalas, so check it out. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to let this dry overnight so that my layers are completely dry. Then I'm just going to wipe off this marking pencil with a baby wipe or a wet paper towel, and then I can glaze it. So that is our design. If you followed along with me, I would love to see your version. I would love to see what colors you used for your gradient. Feel free to share with me. You can always tag me on the socials at Lynn Pugh Artist. Artist has an E. Is my social media, or you can always join Mandala Artists USA, and you can post any of your work in there and share with everybody. So thanks so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this easy, pretty pink petal design, and I'll see you next time, everyone.